Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. On 17th October, Pakistan conducted a series of airstrikes in Paktika province, thus breaching a 48-hour ceasefire agreement between the two countries. The airstrikes reportedly targeted the residential areas in the Urgun and Barmal districts. Earlier, Pakistan also called for an extension of the ceasefire until the end of the ongoing Doha negotiations aimed at easing tensions and preventing cross-border violence. Both sides have said that after the South Asia neighbors extended a ceasefire following a week of fierce border clashes, they are seeking to find a way forward after the clashes killed dozens and wounded hundreds in the worst violence between the two countries since the Taliban seized power in Kabul in 2021. The latest airstrike by Pakistan left Afghans devastated. Remember, 3 young Afghan cricketers amongst 8 civilians were killed in the reported attack. The incident occurred shortly after a ceasefire intensified the tensions. The Afghan Cricket Board has responded by withdrawing from an upcoming Tri-Nation series that was scheduled to include Pakistan and Sri Lanka. The series was set to take place in Pakistan from the 17th of November to the 29th of November. Meanwhile, the PCB chairman, Mohsin Naqvi, has written to the ICC to keep an alternative plan ready if Afghanistan pull out of the Tri-Nation series. Joining us live to look at this story in greater detail is Major General Gigi Dwivedi, Strategic Affairs Analyst. We also have Amjad Ayub Mirza, POK activist, live with us. Dilip Cherin, Image Guru, is joining us live. Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, is with us on the broadcast as well. Major General Dwivedi, does this show why many were urging India not to play Pakistan even in multilateral tournaments? Because this is a country that goes beyond red lines. They target civilians, they break all rules of warfare, and they've even targeted sportsmen and cricketers, as we've seen in these latest strikes. What then should now be the action taken against them by the ICC, by the world community at large, and by others?
I think you have flagged a couple of important points. The first and foremost is that Pakistan is a global terrorist hub, and it has been well recognized by the global polity. But the point is that they have never mended the ways, and they're continuing with the proxy wars, with terrorism, and this is actually their part of national policy. The point number 2 is that Pakistan actually there's nothing known as scruples or principles. This nation actually has a culture of being used, abused, and misused, because they offer themselves to the richer power which rents them out, whether it is America or now it is China. Now both of them are there. So therefore, they are basically a rental state, and they will oblige anyone who can pay the rent. The third point is, as far as sports are concerned, I am of the firm opinion that blood and sports cannot flow together. We got to have a very strict policy, because you can't be losing blood and at the same time showing sports person spirit. That doesn't work out. I think that global polity is not going to respond, because as far as the global powers are concerned, they have the axe to grind, and Pakistan serves them well. So as long as Pakistan serves America or China well, they are going to pay a blind eye as to what is going on. The second point is that as far as we are concerned, we have a very serious security interest, and I think we have done quite well to open out with Afghanistan. While we don't support the ideology of Taliban, but yet we have a strategic interest, and we are pursuing those strategic interests. Every nation does that. And my final point is, Pakistan must be exposed constantly in the global polity, in the regional polity, and we got to ensure that we are with those people who are opposed to Pakistan, terrorism, their national policy, and finally, they are the biggest destabilizing factor in the region. Uday.
Yes, let me in fact also address some breaking inputs coming in this hour. ICC and BCCI Chairman Jay Shah has now expressed condolences over the deaths of Afghan cricketers and Pakistani strikes in Paktika. Jay Shah has noted that he is deeply saddened by the loss of 3 young Afghan cricketers, Kabir Agha, Sigbatullah and Haroon, whose dreams were cut short by a senseless act of violence. The loss of such promising talent is a tragedy, not just for Afghanistan, but for the entire cricketing world. We stand in solidarity with the Afghan Cricket Board and all those mourning this heartbreaking loss. So now big statement being put out. The ICC chairman has reacted as well. ICC chairman Jay Shah has put out a statement condemning this act of violence, senseless violence, Amjad Mirza, which has led to the loss of lives of 3 innocents, 3 cricketers.
I agree with Major General Dwivedi Saab to some extent, but while he emphasizes on exposing Pakistan globally of its terrorist activities and as a hub of terrorism, I think the global community knows that already. And what is necessary is to finish this country, to end it, because this is an artificial country. There is no nation as Pakistani nation. This is an artificial state. Now, Afghanistan and Pakistan are supposed to have peace talks in Doha. And who does Pakistan send? Pakistan sent Khwaja Asif, the defense minister. Now, these kind of negotiations are not carried out between defense ministers. They are carried out between foreign ministers, and to send Asif Khwaja, the defense minister, who has been giving rubbish statements against Afghanistan के इनसे दोस्ती नहीं हो सकती, Afghanistan हमारा दुश्मन है, and etc. etc. And to send this person to negotiate with the Afghan government is like, meaning that we don't want the negotiations to succeed. What is he going to offer, this Khwaja Asif? Nothing. He hasn't even extended his condolences over the, tragic murder of these 3 Afghan cricket players. So I see no hope in Doha, these negotiations. I think they will stall. There will be more bloodshed before, something concrete transpires. Pakistan is not serious in negotiations. If Pakistan was serious in negotiations, they would have sent a neutral person, someone who could properly represent, the civil government. But the strings of Khwaja Asif are being pulled by the so-called Field Marshal Asim Munir. I see no hope in these Doha talks. It's just an exercise that will, come to no avail. Even if there is a
Please stay with us. We're getting more breaking updates coming in now. The Afghanistan Cricket Board has also extended gratitude to the ICC for issuing its statement following the ACB's appeal following the deaths of 3 Afghan cricketers. The statement reads, and I quote, "This gesture genuinely reflects the ICC's neutrality, compassion and commitment to fairness in expressing its sorrow and sympathy over the tragic martyrdom of young domestic cricketers in Afghanistan." ACB has consistently upheld the principle of keeping sports separate from politics and has maintained this stance within the framework of the ICC. The Afghanistan Cricket Board once again strongly condemns this act of violence while deeply appreciating the ICC's expression of solidarity. ACB also urges implementation of firm and decisive measures against those responsible for this inhumane attack. So ACB, Dilip Cherin, is urging action now from the ICC. They appreciate this gesture. They've of course made an appeal by the ICC. They're saying politics and sport must be kept separate. Why target cricketers? What fault of theirs was this conflict? Dilip Cherin, how do you react to this turn of events and now this latest statement from the ACB after the ICC chairman's statement?
There is no doubt, Uday, that this is a sheer act of globally unacceptable levels of violence. In attacking civilians and therefore killing the cricketers, Pakistan has shown a remorseless kind of rage. And the fact that Afghanistan at the moment does not have a functioning air force is allowing it to attack civilians with impunity. So the death of these civilians is a cause for worry to the global community because this is a battle of unequals, much like what is happening in another part of the world. The second thing that we have to understand is that what Major General Dwivedi said is indeed true, that this is a rogue nation that seems to be willing and wanting to play to the orders of other countries who are its benefactors. And it is also in tune with the fact that what Mr. Mirza said, that there is the control levers are in the hands of the Pakistani army, as it always has been. And Pakistan has been, for the last several years, run either directly or indirectly by the military, and the generals are the ones who decide everything, whether it's foreign policy, defense policy, or even finance policy. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that we are very conveniently placed because neither America nor China, who are the allies of Pakistan in this game, are involved in the game of cricket. So cricket is a good way of showing the world that this rogue state is being turned into a pariah state as far as sports is concerned. Sports is a message that is universal. Sports is a message of great consequence to the young, and therefore any action we take today as the ICC, because we have a lot of interest and shall we say leverage in the ICC, and this is a good way of showing the world that India, as well as sporting communities across the world, are going to treat Pakistan as it deservedly needs to be treated, like a pariah state. Uday.
Yes, more breaking updates in fact coming in now. The BCCI has also issued a statement. The BCCI has extended condolences over the death of 3 Afghan cricketers in Paktika following the Pakistan strikes. In an official statement now, the BCCI has said, and I quote, "The Board of Control for Cricket in India expresses its deep sorrow and condolences on the tragic loss of 3 young Afghan cricketers, Kabir Aga, Sigbatullah and Harun, who lost their lives in the cowardly cross-border airstrikes in Paktika province." The BCCI stands in solidarity with the Afghanistan Cricket Board, the cricket fraternity and the families of the departed players during this moment of profound grief, and condemns this ghastly and unwarranted attack. The loss of innocent lives, particularly those of promising sportspersons, is deeply distressing and a matter of great concern. Professor Madhav Nalapat, the BCCI also now coming out and condemning this action taken by Pakistan, extending their condolences as well. First statement by the BCCI being put out by us.
Look, Uday, I want to point out that if you go in the history books and you check the annals of cricketing history, you will find a very famous test series between the England and Australia, the Ashes, and England won the series. But when the rival teams went into a stadium, the English crowd booed the winning English team. They came in, of course, they marched in first, they were booed. And when the defeated Australian team, which by the way included the legendary batsman Don Bradman, well, they were cheered. And why? Because frankly, the then English captain adopted a very unsportsmanlike tactic of aiming Larwood and other fast bowlers to aim not at the wicket, as is always the case, or should be the case, but at the body of the cricketer. So the result is several Australian cricketers got 0 because they were injured. I think Sir Don Bradman was among those who got a duck because he was injured. And frankly, this is a very famous test match, and it shows the level to which unsportsmanlike behavior can prevail on the field. And small wonder that the English team were booed and the Australian team were cheered, because actually they are the winners. I mean, but for this body line, they would have been the winners. So I want to say, Uday, as far as Pakistan is concerned, they don't care for any rules, they don't care for any laws, they don't care for any practices. There's no doubt this is a planned strike on 3 of the best cricketers in Afghanistan. A planned strike to ensure that Pakistan prevails over the Afghans. I mean, the one thing that the Pakistan army cannot abide is to lose anything to the Afghans. Even a kabaddi match, they would not want to lose to the Afghans. There's no doubt this is a planned strike, and it shows the absolute, as has previously been said, the rogue element in the in the cricketing world is Pakistan, frankly. And I think a decision to be taken to boycott tests if they're held in Pakistan, whatever because the fact is that cricketers will not be safe. They'll be subject to all kinds of risk because the Pakistanis have no rule whatsoever, no remorse whatsoever. Now, what do you call a state where the chief of army staff, the so-called field marshal, openly threatens nuclear war and nuclear retaliation against India if it goes to war again because of the pause against Operation Sindoor? If they do one more terror strike, obviously we'll have to go to war. And this man is saying that they'll have a nuclear strike. That's not a rational statement.
Yes,
And Pakistan is not a rational player. They
absolutely.
are a state, has correctly been said. And in my view, that series between England and Australia,
Yes,
100 times over the unsportsmanlike behavior
absolutely, of the Pakistanis. Okay, more breaking news coming in. Stay with us. Former Indian cricket legend Yuvraj Singh has now condoled the deaths of the 3 young cricketers who were killed by the Pakistan strikes in Afghanistan's Paktika. He said, and I quote, "Heartfelt condolences to families of the young Afghanistan cricketers who lost their lives in the recent attack. Our thoughts are with them during this difficult time. May their memories inspire peace and unity." So more and more voices coming out, condemning this action by Pakistan, calling it out for what it is. Cricketer, former Indian cricketer Yuvraj Singh now, Major General Dwivedi, putting out this statement as well.
Well, Uday, there is this saying that politics is continuation of war, but other means, as far as Pakistan cricketers are concerned, they treat cricket as carrying the war by the through the bat or the ball. And you see the gestures on the play field, they were pointing to the bat as if the player is holding a AK-47. Now that's the kind of spirit the Pakistani cricketers show. They are actually aligned with the terrorist organization, and also they are mouthpieces of the field marshal. The point number 2 is, I think the time has come that we need to encourage Pakistan to break itself, because as Mirza Sahab has said, that Pakistan must be broken. Pakistan has a mechanism, self-destructive mechanism. In 1971, they quite achieved that, and I fought the 1971 war. So I know that now they're heading for that, and we should encourage that. And Mr. Cherian used the correct word, the pariah. That is the actual way we need to describe this, the whole issue. And my final point, what Professor Nalapad has said, that sports as cricket, I think we need to be very clear that Pakistan doesn't play cricket. They only fight the war on the cricket field, and they have demeaned, they have disgraced the sports itself. So I think no nation should play with them, because they should be isolated, and they should be encouraged to break themselves, because that's what their destiny lies, and they are writing the destiny with their own hands. Uday.
All right. In fact, we're getting more breaking updates now coming in after Afghanistan Cricket Board banned Pakistan ahead of the tri-series that was to be played due to Pakistan's recent attacks that killed 3 young Afghanistan cricketers. Zimbabwe has replaced Afghanistan in the matches. Amrit Mirza, Afghanistan has pulled out of this series, this tri-series. They've said they're not going to play Pakistan anymore. However, Zimbabwe has been now included in the tri-series. How do you react to this development? Is it time now for other countries also, the international community, to also take a stand, to also see what is wrong and call that out for being wrong?
Well, I think it's a shame that Zimbabwe cricket team and their cricket board has agreed to replace Afghanistan in this tri-series. They should be ashamed of themselves, and no cricket team should agree to play in the place of Afghanistan, since they have refused to play because they are in mourning, and in Islam you have 40 days of mourning. So I think that Zimbabwe's decision is unjust, it's very undemocratic, immoral, and they shouldn't have taken this decision. Yeah, back to you.
Yes. Okay. Well, more breaking developments now that we're tracking. The Pashtun National Jirga, the Democratic Assembly of the Pashtun people, has also now condemned Pakistan's attacks on Afghanistan. They've condemned the attack. The PNJ has noted, and I quote, the recent aggression against Afghanistan and cold-blooded murdering of innocent civilians by Pakistan Army is not only a flagrant violation of Afghanistan's sovereignty, but also a grave act of terror and crime against humanity. We are deeply worried that the resulting hostilities will result in killing of more Pashtun Afghans on both sides of the Durand line. We see the recent escalation of violence by the Pakistan Army as a continuation of its policy of destabilizing Afghanistan and the region. For long, the Pakistan Army has used proxy militant groups to spread terror and chaos and destabilize neighboring countries. PTM and other human rights groups have been warning against this hypocrite policy on and off, appeasing and so-called fighting the militants by the Pakistan Army or supporting some good militants while unleashing military operations against others. So very, very strong statement by the Pashtun National Jirga. They've called a spade Dilip Chere.
You know, these are people who are actually in the fight, in the battle. India needs to recognize that it may not be in the battle at the moment, but we are very much the target of this entire operation. The vehemence and the virulence of the attack on Afghanistan is only bound to increase as Pakistan sees that India has not just played and succeeded in the game of international diplomacy in making an ally out of Afghanistan. It is a powerful ally to have on your hands at a time when, as everybody is aware, Pakistan is going through its own internal chaos and confusion. So, in its shall we say lack of foresight and wisdom, which is palpably obvious to all, it is bound to turn its anger on either India or Afghanistan, and the Pashtun people in between are getting crushed. I think that this is the time when India and all the agencies at its command should be working very closely to make sure that Pakistan does not turn its ire on India again. We've suffered enough. We've had to run Operation Sindoor. And I think that given the fact that Operation Sindoor is technically still in operation, we should be in full readiness to expect that something or the other, some ricochet of this entire episode is bound to turn in this direction. And the Pashtun people need support, and India should provide its support in whichever way we can.
Okay, let me in fact quickly bring in Madhav Nalapat once again now on what is the way forward. Where do you see the violence headed? There was of course that ceasefire, a brief ceasefire which was broken by Pakistan. How do you see things panning out in the next 24 to 48 hours, Professor Nalapat?
Well, Uday, I just want to go back to a very famous saying that it's not winning or losing that counts. It's how you play the game that counts. And I want to say, so far as the Pashtuns are concerned, I know many of the Pashtuns very well, and they are an extremely valorous and brave people. And they will not accept second-class status under anybody. And unfortunately, in Pakistan, the Pashtun areas are suffering as second-class citizens of the Pakistan military, which is overwhelmingly Punjabi. So very frankly, the self-respecting Pashtuns will not accept second-class citizenship, even if a country is as powerful as the United States or a next-door neighbor has a large army such as China. Never. They will never do it. So I can tell you that this conflict is going to go on, and I can tell you that what Afghanistan was for the Soviet Union in the 1980s, Afghanistan will be for Pakistan in this period of the 2020s.
Right. Okay, let that be the last word. We'll be keeping a close eye on these developments. For the time being, my thanks to our guests for joining us. Let's slip into a short break.